Hello again, folks, and Analog Hoof here. I'm going to go ahead and get the conversation about this video sort of out of the way right here, right now. This is some Rush on Karg Island in Battlefield 3, and the main reason I'm showing this video is because it shows very good coordination between teammates. My squad mate and I, we are talking throughout this whole thing, telling each other where we're seeing enemies, coordinating whose turn it is to use the anti-aircraft lock-on flares. And the result is we're able to pretty much stay airborne throughout the whole thing and rain some major destruction down upon these poor motherfuckers. But what I really want to talk about is really this conversation I've noticed going on within the video game commentating community. It's really sort of been a meta conversation, if you would, a commentary on commentaries. And it's almost like this sense of confusion and malaise that's sort of fallen upon this wonderful little group we have here. Almost the sense that a question like, okay, what's going on? Where are we going with this? I mean, this has been, I think, sort of brought upon by the general sort of audience reaction to Modern Warfare 3, which a lot of people were really, really, really pumped up for. And, of course, some people... for some people, the game has lived up to its expectations, but for a lot of people, myself included, felt that it really fell short. I mean, by no stretch of the imagination is it a bad game, but, I mean, especially for the purpose of, you know, producing a year's worth of videos, which is what a lot of people are planning to do with it. I mean, the small maps and really sort of, I guess, very just consistent play style it demands. It really doesn't leave that much to the imagination. I mean, people have been talking about Call of Duty really consistently for over 2 years now. I mean, really, commentating really took off with Modern Warfare 2, and obviously was big throughout Black Ops, and it's a question of really how much is there to talk about. I mean, that's one reason why I personally am much more interested in Battlefield 3 and just other games in general, which is something I'm planning on doing a lot more of, is just really branching out into every type of game imaginable, any series I find enjoyable. I plan on doing a lot about Mass Effect, actually, coming up, sort of replaying through the first and the second before 3 comes out. But, I mean, so really, how much more is there to talk about in terms of Call of Duty? And of course, and there's the issue of the YouTube redesign. People questioning, all right, how is it going to impact, you know, larger channels, smaller channels? I think folks are still trying to figure that out. And I personally, you know, I started pretty much right before this redesign, so I really don't know how it's affected me. Have I gained views, lost views? I don't think I lost any subscribers. I know some larger channels have lost a lot more. Some have sort of benefited from it. You know, so how is that going to really impact it in the long run? There's, of course, always a continued debate over, you know, who produces the better content, the smaller channels or the larger channels. I personally think there are some large channels that produce amazing content. Some that produce really crappy content that really doesn't interest me. Or, sorry, some that produce crappy content, some that produce good content that just really isn't my style. For example, White Boy, personally, I understand the appeal, but it's just really not my kind of thing. Myself, what I really like in commentator, I'd say probably my favorite is Wings of Redemption. I think it has a very sort of honest approach to it, and especially a recent video I really liked of his, once again talking about this really subject of what's going on within the world of commentating. Sort of asking the question, alright, who really cares about the gameplay anymore? How many Moabs can you really sit there and watch? You know, here we are, what, about 10 months until the next Call of Duty comes out, and are you really going to spend the next 10 months watching Moabs? I mean, is that really long run that entertaining? I mean, personally, myself, I'm going to say no. But, I mean, then again, I'm really not the target audience, I think, for most commentators. First of all, I'm not a teenager. You know, I'm in my mid-20s, and you know, I'm working. I've gone through school, and heck, I'll be the first to admit that when it comes to general worldview about pretty much everything, popular media included, I'm not exactly normal. So I'm definitely not the target audience there. So there's just really a lot of questions going on in the air right now, and yeah, I really don't think I have too many answers. I mean, it's almost, we live in an age right now where it's impossible to really pin this down, because just the way media works, how quickly it moves. I mean, yes, like I said, commentating's really only been going for about 2 years now. You know, just going strong. And are we really at the beginning of it? Still, are we sort of going through a midlife crisis right now, or are things starting? Is the tide starting to go out on it? I mean, just the way things work, it's media, popularity, stuff like that has just become so unpredictable. I don't think anybody can really give a solid answer. I mean, I think one thing you're going to have to see is diversification. I mean, it's this community is not going to survive on Call of Duty alone. Because, I mean, I really think the next COD is really going to make or break the popularity of this series. I mean, the way it is, it's always going to be around. At this point, you know, it's like a Halo or, you know, probably even a Mario. It's got a large enough fan base where there's always going to be people who are going to buy it. Is it always going to be selling, you know, 10 to 15 million copies? Probably not. I think that sort of age is past it. And as a series, you're going to have to see major growth with the next entry. Otherwise, you're going to see stuff like Battlefield or even other things. I think you're going to see just a wider variety of things take over. I mean, if you really look at the direction sort of online media is taking, you're seeing smaller, more concentrated sort of like audiences emerge. You know, it's no longer either you're going to have to find something that's going to have really mass appeal, or you can sort of stick to a smaller target audience and really build yourself around delivering that one particular thing to that small group of people. And that's just the way it works. So I think that's really what you're going to see. You're going to see the big channels are going to maintain their largeness by diversifying. Otherwise, you're going to see sort of smaller, more focused efforts emerge. So, I mean, if you have opinions on this matter, go ahead, please sound off. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a magnificent day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye, folks.